footy finals are back. That's right. G'day. I'm Jaymz Clements, not to be confused with Matty Lappin. That's right, Skinny Lappin. Can't wait to hear him on Blues Radio this weekend. This is the AFL Today Show, of course, brought to you by friends at TopSport, the home of footy finals. I need some medicine because I've got finals fever.
Jokes are back.
To be honest, I've had a small child in my household who's had a fever this week, so to be honest, I might just actually have a proper fever. But either way, joining me this week for the Midweek Madness show is my two best friends in the world. It's Alex Donnelly over there.
How good are finals, Jim? How good is being in finals?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
A man who wouldn't know about that is the stats boy.
I'm a big AFLW man now at the moment. North are really good in that. Obviously
Still not in finals yet.
We'll be in finals.
Good chat. Right, today's show, it is a cracking midweek madness show because we've got news ticker, we've got nars, we've got our top five with Wally, and this is I love this top five with Wally because this is the top five things about finals footy. It's great.
That's just what we want to hear.
Top five things about finals. It's awesome. Thing is, we get very serious here on the AFL Today Show. Do I need to talk like Jonathan? Oh, Alex, so we've got these guys on the show.
You sound like Simon O'Donnell.
Yeah, Simon O'Donnell mixes with Jonathan Brown. We've got some Big J journalists on the show. We're going round the grounds.
This is the maddest show we've had all year.
There's a lot going on.
A lot of moving parts. Just saying. This is why we have producer Gerald doing he's actually doing all the work. All the hard yards. Stats boy's doing nothing at this point.
Oh, yeah.
He's
we wouldn't have a run sheet ready every week.
He's quite quit.
Adding absolutely nothing to the entire show. But we are getting Lachie McKirdy on to talk Swans and GWS.
Yep, because finals are guaranteed for the first for all 3 weeks in Sydney.
That's right.
That's actually, that's pretty cool, actually.
Then we're going to have Port Adelaide chat with Simeon Thomas-Wilson from the Tizer and Code Sports, and Callum Dick from Code Sports and the Courier Mail to talk all things Lions, which is very, very fun.
It's a lot of good hair and a lot of handsome people involved in this show today.
That's right.
Yeah, what are you doing here?
And then Stats Boy's here too. The thing is, so this is it. Like we've had Eliza Riley on the show as well, but she's currently just popping on the AFLW show with you guys, and also none of the WA teams.
So it's how good is Daisy Pearce, how good the Dockers are. So life's good.
Holly Reid.
Nice one. Let's get into the show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel or Stats Boy will smash up because finals are back. Let's do it. The news ticker. What is the biggest news? So we did our award show on the weekend.
Yeah.
Good fun.
It was very fun.
Stats guys in a tux.
It's the only award show you need to actually watch, as it turns out, because the AFL cooked the rest of it. I'm just saying, my beloved Ollie Dempsey won the Rising Star, obviously. The All-Australian teams were named, blah, 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 blah. And they managed to completely screw that up because I don't know how Kerno didn't make it, Zera didn't make it, Nick Dacos is on a wing.
Yep.
Sure. Cherry didn't make it, Stats Boy. What's going on there?
I was filthy with that. You can have two rucks. They've shown it before, so yeah. Don't know what's going on.
You just need to cram more midfielders in, apparently. And Jeremy McGovern, on the second worst defense in the entire league, somehow got in ahead of James Sicily.
I think that's fair.
Sicily. Why?
Because he's a better player. Harris Andrews should be in. He's a much better,
can we also
player than Sicily.
Really?
Yep.
Can we talk? Talk about Brisbane.
Here's a reason why you're wrong. You just are.
Sicily in no way had a better year. Also, if your argument about the worst defenses, that means Wiedering shouldn't be in there because you were like 14th or 15th ranked.
Oh, stats guy.
I've already had this argument with a few people.
Check this out. Wieders.
Who was the best one-on-one defender? I'm not saying he shouldn't be in there.
Who was actually around Wieders for most of this season?
Mitch McGovern.
Everybody else in and out of the team all season. The fact that Wieders was the rock. The Rock.
But Jeremy McGovern was the Rock as well.
No, he wasn't. He's stunned.
Brisbane writing that weirdly long article about why Harris Andrews got snubbed. I was like, this is almost as bad as the Heaney video.
You're in the finals, don't worry.
It's like, you've got a final. Why are you concentrating on
Brisbane,
this?
dig up, stupid. Like, what are you doing? That was weird.
That was weird,
Stop being weird. Don't be weird. I mean, it's for us to talk about. It's not for clubs to go, oh, he should have been an All-Australian. And you're like, what? Anyway, the thing is, I'm really, really happy. So we threw out the first and second team All-Australian stuff last week.
Yeah.
Other people jumped on this. I like that. Good. We need a first and second All-Australian team.
That was a great call.
I made the squad. Where does that go in your list of career achievements? Nowhere. No one cares. Oh, I made the squad. Did he make the team? No. Then who cares? Shut up. First and second team, boom, lock it in, laughing.
Yep.
It's just good accolades. I love good accolades. Give me some accolades. There was other big news as well. Did you hear about this one?
Which one?
Christian Petracca.
Oh, yeah.
Was he still playing?
With a gun to his back, he's like, I want to be at the Melbourne Football Club, he said, writing down in pencil.
100% there's a gun to his back or someone just like holding
just
a knife
smile,
behind.
keep smiling and waving.
Just keep smiling. Just keep smiling.
Thanks,
Smithers to Tom Jones.
Smithers,
Weird. Just weird.
Can I have a bet that he this time in 12 months when the D's missed the finals again. He's like, I'm out.
And then a month later, he's like, oh.
No, because next year is when the new rules come in. You can trade first-round picks 2 years in advance.
Exactly.
So this is he and his manager are going, can you get me? Can you do it? No, okay, 12 months.
It was very clearly like Petracca going, I'm going to make my trade request. They kicked the tires on everything with every team.
Yeah.
And went, oh, God, no one can get this done. Right. Everything's fine here. Nothing to see, folks. We're cool. I love the red and blue. What are you talking about?
Memory eraser thing. He just needs to do that to a few Melbourne fans, I reckon.
Yeah. I loved it because it was great to see the 87 total Melbourne fans out there actually sort of flip-flop go, I hate Christian Petracca. He's a traitor. I love Christian Petracca. He's the best. I'm so happy he's staying. Oh,
it is weird. Like, if he's not fully bought in.
Whatever. It's fine. He's gone in 12 months. Will Day ruled out for the elimination final already by the Hawkers.
Oh, brutal.
Tough one. I think they'll still be fine. Jake Stringer.
Yep.
Now, I think this is
our next 3 weeks.
I love the Jake Stringer.
This is great.
So just Jake Stringer.
If you just want to go look at like the trade packages, who can you go and get if you're an AFL team, we've gone just like, we're hitting levels of just like, desperation. Yeah. We've gone from like Petracca, like all the free agents, they all basically signed this.
And Cozzy Pickett's
like, I'm
already.
staying here. It's all good. And we've gone Petracca, he's staying. And then it's do you want a Jake Stringer? Do you want a Jake Stringer?
Hell no.
Who wants a Jake Stringer? You get a Jake Stringer. You get a Jake. And everyone's like, we don't want a Jake Stringer. Why would we want Jake Stringer?
So he's hit his triggers like within his contract for a 1-year extension worth, I think it's like 400 grand. Yep. He's like, I want more. I want security. And then it's come out that, other clubs want him. And I'm also going, don't believe it. That's his manager going, hey, I actually had a chat with this guy. His name was, what's that Sydney dude's name again?
It's like,
Nick
Glenn?
Smith. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Miss Smithy.
Yeah.
You know him.
Yeah. Arthur Beetson. Oh, no, wait. Kanar Beetson.
It's like, Bill. And it's at Bill's house. What are you doing with my money at your house there, Bill?
Yeah.
But the funniest thing this week, I think, was watching Alex's face when he realised that Sydney were hunting for Jake Stringer.
That is not true.
See, look at him. He just gets so serious and so angry.
We don't know that it's not
real. It's not real. It's like the opposite of the WWE thing. It's real to me, damn it. It's like, it's not real. It's all made up. What are you talking about?
That could be the best point you made on the show, I reckon. Yeah.
Yeah, that he thinks WWE is real. All right. Zeret also had a bit of a chat with Brad Scott, sticking with the Essendon thing.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, geez, Stringer and Laverde weren't offered more than 1 year. I'm a bit sad. So, it's like, settle down. You're not Petracca. Get out of here. No one cares. What are you going to do? Demand a trade?
Exactly. Jeez. It's sad that Merritt is just loving mediocrity. He's like, I don't care that these guys are pretty mediocre.
It's the Essendon way. We are coming up to 20 years on the dot since they have won an actual AFL final, which is, I don't know, awesome. It's just the way, like, I think the photo of like the last time they played and won a final. It's like James Hird.
Was it black and white? Oh, no.
Was Orange their sponsor as well?
Really old.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like Brett Lee era.
Yeah.
Cricket. I love that. But Zeret, great. I mean, I'm just a bit sad by it. And Essendon are like, so?
It's not your job.
What are you going to do? Like, quit? All right. Enjoy. Speaking of quitting, Jake Kelly, he quit. Well, he retired.
Yeah.
From the Bombers.
Pretty
sure.
I don't like him. He's a dirty player.
I'm okay.
That's a different argument.
Would not know like my top 5 games of Jake Kelly's.
I think he played 100.
Rank him.
All 168 games.
When was his last game?
But in more important news, with apologies to Jake Kelly.
Yeah, like sorry.
Chadley Wingard. That's right. Oh, Chad Wingard, 2-time All-Australian, one of best and fairest at Port.
Yep.
2-time club leading goal kicker, which is amazing stuff.
I thought he could win a Brownlow early in his career.
He was unbelievable. He was my favourite player to watch.
He just kept doing his knee, didn't he?
Yeah.
He kept getting injured but then he
kept sitting on people's heads as well. It was
one mark a year
yeah.
For Port in that pocket. And him at the Adelaide Oval was unstoppable.
There was one game I watched, like, oh, that dude will win a Brownlow.
Yeah, but then he just didn't go along with it and his injuries and things like that.
He cashed in at Hawthorn.
Yeah, and then was a bit lazy towards the end of his career.
He tore his Achilles, mate.
Don't need it.
Wow. All right, now I'm going to need a machete and Stats Boy's Achilles. Just real quick. I
don't need it, man.
It won't hurt much.
Do I need it to do this
Let's
show?
see what happens.
No, I'll just be sitting down.
All right, nice
What
one.
about Mac Andrew? We haven't talked about that.
So
was
We've
the
got
next
Mac
one.
Andrew, but I want to go back to the stringer thing.
Okay.
We haven't got all day on this.
Collingwood
Oh, yeah.
today.
I put
today
this in.
Collingwood got thrown up as a bit of a Jake Stringer.
But you know who it was by?
destination,
It
which
was
is
by
awesome.
Eddie.
Yeah.
So it's not, Collingwood probably don't even want him. Eddie's just
how-
like, we should get Collingwood. Now the media's like, Eddie said it, so Collingwood has to.
Well, yeah. Eddie's still a power broker, mate.
I love it.
Because it's like having two to goes. It's like, this is great. We have more reason to hate you.
Two to go.
Shout out
love
to the
that.
guy that was abusing me on Twitter for hating Collingwood during the week. It's like, yes.
I like that guy.
Yeah, we don't do shout-outs. Shout-outs are weird. We say props.
Props to...
Everybody rag on Alex on Twitter. All right.
That was the dude who went on 3AW about Ticketmaster last year about the grand
that's
final ticketing thing. It was that guy.
Okay.
He's famous.
Good story. The Mac Andrews stuff. This is pretty fun.
This is wild.
$12 million for 8 years. Unnamed Victorian club.
St Kilda.
St Kilda, Hawthorn.
I reckon St Kilda, Hawthorn,
North.
North.
North,
Because they have probably the most money, I'd say.
Maybe Richmond. They've probably got some money coming up.
Yeah, true.
Nice
I'm
one.
sticking with St Kilda because this is St Kilda. Oh, God, could someone please come to Moorabbin? I swear it's fun.
Could it be the Bombers so that he can't kick another goal after the siren
No.
against them?
They don't have the money. They're giving Ben Mackay 1.4 million.
Anyone who's been to Moorabbin has never said Moorabbin is fun.
I have to go there this Sunday. I will
have to, but
report back.
you want to, yeah.
For work.
Yeah.
Moorabbin is not fun. There is
I got to go to RESA Arena or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Nice one. Mac Andrew, is he worth $12 million for 8 years? That's the biggest thing.
Oh,
Geez,
no.
I don't know if he's worth it. Gee, he's
worth
the
whatever someone wants to pay
exactly.
him.
The salary cap's going to keep going up.
He's not worth it.
Broadcast dollars, it'll be fine. He's awesome. I love me some Mac Andrew.
Is this $12 million on pure vibes and because he sunk Essendon's season?
No, he
it
will
might
be a good
because
player.
of his wild athleticism and his
Yeah.
incredible spoiling ability.
Maybe 800 to $1 million a year, not 1.5 a year. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ben Mackay is an absolute spud.
Yeah, I agree that he shouldn't be on that. We already said that last
Mac
week.
Andrew rules. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of ruling, midweek winners and losers of the week. Loser of the week, Charlie Curnow somehow did not make the All-Australian squad. I love J-Train. I love Jakey
You mean
Waterman.
the team, not the squad.
The team, sorry. I love the J-Train. How he made this All-Australian
That was
team
a
is
joke.
absolutely absurd ahead of Charlie
He
Curnow.
even
Now,
laughed
is
about
this
it.
analytical Jim or Carlton fan Jim?
Both.
Okay.
Analytically,
Because
he's got some-
analytically, it's like he's literally every statistical measure he's ahead of the J-Train. 57 goals to 53. He kicked, I think, 37 of his against this year's finalists, whereas J-Train, I
look
think,
at that.
kicked 12. Curnow played more games. He averaged more contested marks, score involvements, and score assists. He ranked third in overall goals, second in player rating, fifth in marks, third in contested marks, second in score involvements, and somehow wasn't named to the All-Australian team. And J-Train wasn't the best forward on his team. And here we
what
are.
do you mean?
He was the best
Oscar Allen
forward.
was easily the best Eagles forward in the second half of the season once he came back.
Yeah, but-
J-Train completely fell off the
Didn't
face of the
J-Train
planet.
take the most marks inside 50 of anyone in the competition?
Perhaps.
That's the only stat he's probably got over
maybe.
Curnow.
Either way, should have been Charlie Curnow. Losers, though, the Taylors for the All-Australian squad.
It did look a bit weird, yeah.
So no, this was the invite. This wasn't the Taylors. This was the
was,
invite that
yeah.
was sent out. The invite said cocktail. Didn't say shirt and tie. Said cocktail. So therefore, some people are like, no tie.
They asked the players, and the players were like, yeah, we'll just assume no tie. And then it looked weird. And then who was it? Was it Errol?
Errol had the second
buttons
button.
going over.
Errol had
everywhere.
the second button, not the top button
It
of
was
his
going out
jacket.
like this.
Undone.
Didn't look good.
So it's the Taylors, but it's also the photographers, and I think,
How is the photographer not going, Errol, do your button up?
but also simply the historical record. Like, that just looks crummy. I think, like, I don't care about ties. Like, I'm not a tie guy in a surprise twist.
Yeah.
I mean,
when you
can't
wear,
see
when you
it.
wear a
You wouldn't be able to see it,
beard,
yeah.
when you have a beard like this, you just don't wear a tie anyway. It's stupid. But you either everybody wears a tie or nobody wears a tie.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, it's one of the two.
Well, also, what
When you got
about
a mix, it's just stupid.
what
You
about
look like
Zorko's
idiots.
outrageously long tie and Bont's Guinness socks?
Weird.
That's cool. The
socks.
Guinness
Yeah.
socks are great. I saw that.
And the winner of the week, AFLW.
Yes, it's back.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
what a
great.
weekend. Losers, SEN going, oh, it's a dead week in the AFL. It's like, oh my God, you
of course
idiots.
SEN too.
Yeah.
The dumbest people on the planet
They even commentate on some of the games.
are actually out there
They
going,
commentate
oh,
on
geez,
it.
Yeah.
there's no footy on this week. Are you blind? Are you an
Yeah.
idiot? You very clearly maybe both. There you go. AFLW was awesome this
Highest
weekend.
average scoring week of like ever for
Great.
AFLW. And it was noticeable too that
The skills are getting better every
that
year.
it's gotten better. So once you come to realize that, yes, there's going to be probably one or two catastrophic clangers a quarter because it's a growing game, It's fine. They're also
fun, yeah.
They're also playing at smaller grounds, smaller venues where the conditions are just going to be god awful half of the time. That happens. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's $15 to go. It's fun. It's over in 2 hours. It's awesome.
Yep.
Check out AFLW today.
Nice one. All right, good stuff. Let's us get into some yeah-nahs. All right. Got a couple of good yeah-nahs before the finals start.
Yep.
Speaking of which, the pre-finals bye is the greatest thing the AFL has ever done. Yeah, nah.
Nah, it's not the greatest thing the AFL's ever done.
I would say, yeah, it's good. I think it's good fun. Helps the AFLW out as well.
I think greatest thing the AFL has ever done is a little bit hyperbole, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's very good.
very
Because you know
good,
what
yeah.
it does? Gives you a chance to take a breath.
I mean,
It's 25 weeks of a regular season, of a home and away season, before you get into the absolute chaos of a final series. To be able to sit back and go,
wait, we took a weekend off.
AFLW, this is great. You can sit back, you can watch the AFLW.
You get your footy fix.
Yep.
You still get footy. The men's take the week off. You get to like go, right, we can now talk about Christian Petracca for 2 weeks. It's going to be awesome. Just stuff like this, away we go. I love having that pre-finals bye week.
You also get to see who the dumbest people in media are with some of their ideas in the week off. It's like, oh, you desperately need footy for your content.
The other, well, probably like us, to be fair.
Please, we had great content. We had the awards show, mate.
That's true. The other one is it helps players get back from injury. I think that's part of the reason they did it, but I love that. Just say someone has a 1 or 2 week injury and you're like, oh, they might miss that first week. Like, you get the week off.
All of Carlton.
All of Carlton, exactly. So Carlton will have a better team now because of this pre-finals.
But it
bye.
also goes into this is why they're thinking of doing it for the grand final, because if someone gets concussed, it's 12 days off. Whereas
True.
if you do it on the Friday night or the Saturday, you've got 2 weeks to get over it.
I feel like that's a big gap between the hype and
Super
stuff.
Bowl.
No, don't care. I think the pre-finals bye, I think, and then it's the final series is the final series.
Yep.
Yeah, I
if
like
you
it
get
all
concussed,
together.
like, should we have a pre-finals bye between, well, a finals bye in between the qualifying and the semi-finals because somebody might get concussed and you need that player.
I know what
right?
he's saying, but
That's
yeah.
what it's about,
Yeah.
right? I was like, I missed out on the grand final. You got concussed in a prelim. It's what happens.
Stiff, yep.
Right. Speaking of which, injuries. Carlton should play Sam Doherty.
No.
Yeah, nah.
Surely not. That would be so dumb. He hasn't played.
Did his knee in opening round at the Gabba. Is going to return there. I don't like this at all.
It's usually a 9-month injury and he's back in, 6?
I like this 9-month idea. It's an ACL, right? So
It's 9 to 12.
It's
9 to
anywhere
12.
with 9 to 12 and you're probably 2 years out from playing your best again. So
I think Tony Libber was the quickest one ever. It was like 6 months he came back.
Yeah.
So
But I'm sticking with a no. Like, why? I get it. It's an elimination final, but the other players I would risk, not Sam Doherty.
no, he's had too many injuries.
Well, he's also there's no match fitness as well, whereas at least the other players are fit.
Yep. Agreed.
good one. All right. Speaking of which, should Port pick Charlie Dixon? Yeah, nah.
I think they will. I've just put this in there because he's just been in horrible form this year. I just can't stand him.
You can die on this hill because I need to know, is Todd Marshall back? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, we don't know yet. Yeah.
It's a weird one for a Wednesday show because we don't know what's going on with Port this week. So,
True.
Yeah.
You do feel like they are at home against Geelong, and if you can try to, body up the Cats backman, then I don't mind that too much. If you've already got Georgiades,
Get a bigger
if Todd
body in
Marshall's available, though, that's the big question.
Yep.
All Australia needs to be more position specific. Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
Yes. Get a winger on there. Come on.
So this is one of my favourite ideas. I love position chatter when it comes to sport. When you talk about again, I'm going to go to the NBA in a surprise twist. But the NBA has gone a little, it's positionless basketball. And then everyone went, this is dumb.
Yeah, they've changed back a bit.
It's like, well, the big guy is in a position. Yeah, he's the big guy. It's the centre. What are we doing?
Yeah.
And my guards are typically small, and away we go. So I think positions, like if we can look at your game time and where you lined up for X amount of percentage of your season.
Like Supercoach.
Simple as you like. I like it. Exactly.
So Nick Dacos spending 1% of his year on the wing, or less than 1%,
Can't get named on a wing in an All-Australian.
No, I don't
Guess what?
understand that.
If there's competition for the spots in the All-Australian for that exact position, that's what it is.
Because they're like, but there
It's
was
hard.
only 6 good wingers in the AFL. It's just like, so you picked the 2 best, which were clearly Errol, got picked, and Massimo D'Ambrosio.
Playing devil's advocate, though, I still agree that we need to have a winger. Would you rather Nick Dacos on your wing or Massimo D'Ambrosio? Of course, most people are going to say Nick Dacos. That's the only argument I've got for
Don't
Australia.
care.
Yeah,
I'm picking wingers.
Yeah.
Nice one. The Swans or Pies should go after Jake Stringer. Yeah, nah.
Pies should because
Pies,
it's funny.
Definitely. Yeah.
I genuinely think Pies should be. He kicked 42. I was going to say that earlier. He actually had a decent season compared to all the other forwards.
Why was this year a decent year for him, stats guy?
Contract year, yes.
There we
But
go.
42 goals is a really good year.
Previous years before that, 2 previous years when he'd had his contract, he didn't break 30.
Counterpoint.
Got into
42
the-
goals I feel like Jake Stringer kicked the least impactful 42 goals of anybody this year. If you look at when he kicked those goals, it's always got to be.
There was that one game against Freo.
4 goals against Freo late, but yeah, other than that, you're right. A lot of them were very early. 4 against Hawks when they were first game of the season. 3 against Sydney, which is pretty good.
He kicked 5 against West Coast.
All I'm saying is a lot of teams would want a guy that can kick 40 goals no matter who they're playing against.
Nice one. All right, let's go to our chat with our Big J journalists. Then we'll go to our top 5 with Wally talking all things finals, which is really, really fun. And then we'll come back with our finals futures bets. This is basically brought to you by TopSport. As we said at the top, this is brought to you by TopSport, the home of footy finals. We're going to be talking the Gary Ayres Award, most disposals, and most goals. Our best picks for that right after all this. All right, let's do this. The man with, I don't know, he's got awesome hair and he's got all the vibes on Port Adelaide. Like, I don't know, I've got vibes about my beloved Seattle Supersonics back in the olden days, I'll tell you that much. It's Simeon Thomas-Wilson. Simeon, what is going on over in the city of Adelaide? I keep seeing these things on social media about how Power fans are getting around like they're like, we're stoked. We're going to win everything. And it's like, I feel like you're getting over your skis a little bit there, Power fans. Like twice bitten, once shy, or once bitten, twice shy?
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. What's the vibes over there in Adelaide right now around the Power?
Hey guys, I guess it's pretty optimistic. Like this time last year, I think they were kind of limping into the finals and everyone was like, I'm not going to do anything. Even though they're without Houston and Farrell, I actually think there's a bit of optimism around that. Things might be falling into place for them in some ways. Like obviously it's a tough task over those guys, but at least for this week, there's a lot of optimism around the Power.
Nice one. Now, Stats Boy, you had some vibes on these outs. What do you want to ask Simeon?
Yeah, Simeon, you literally just mentioned Houston and Farrell. Obviously huge outs. I think Houston's one of the biggest outs in the whole of the finals. Who do you think is going to provide that drive off half back? Because that's such a big part of the Port's game plan. I think Kane Collins suggested Rosie, which I don't mind, but you'd probably want him in the middle. Who do you think is going to do that drive?
Yeah, Rosie's a bit of a wildcard one. I asked him yesterday when he spoke, and he kind of said no.
Yeah, he probably doesn't want to. Yeah.
So I don't reckon that's going to happen unless unless it's going to be a real sneaky one. So maybe we won't see. But I guess what's going to happen, based off last night's training, Darcy Byrne-Jones will come in and join Ryan Burton, who was already filling in for Houston.
Yeah,
so
nice.
A little bit back to the past for the Power with Darcy Byrne-Jones returning to half back.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's the All-Australian.
So we're talking later on in this show, we're going to be talking some of our most goals vibes for this final series. And Mitch Georgiades is a name that kept popping up, right? So he got his last run against Freo 2 weeks ago. Like, how are you feeling about Mitch and actually, I guess the entire sort of forward setup for this Power team going against the Cats?
Well, yeah, Mitch, great shout. He's the leader of the forward line now. He's in real good form. You know, this is kind of his breakout season. So if anyone's going to kick it back for the Power, it's going to be him. It's outside of their forward line in general. That's probably the other question. Do they bring back Todd Marshall? He's recovered from his concussion, but he's had, I think this is like his 3rd or 4th in 2 years or 3 years or something. So they're very cautious with him. He kind of played in the stronger team in match sim last night. So don't know, can they play him, Dixon, Radaglia, and Georgiades? I know Ken always says that Georgiades isn't a tall forward. He's actually more a smaller, or medium, a taller, small. I don't know what the hell we're going to call it. Medium. Let's say that. But yeah, so I think Radaglia is going to play. So so where does Marshall kind of come in? That's kind of the other big watch for them at team selection.
Alex?
Is there just a bit of a worry going around going, oh no, we've seen this script before. We've come into the finals. We expect we lost again. Like, surely there's a small bit of trepidation, especially against this Geelong team who just know how to win.
Yeah, I guess if we're talking about scripts before, in 2020 and 2021, Port took on Geelong in a qualifying final at Adelaide Oval and won both times. So
there you go.
There's that's a good sign for Port fans. I guess there is, after probably this, if I get through this week, I guess there will be, the trepidation will come, especially if it was the Bulldogs in a prelim. But that would be kind of funny. I think there's more confidence and optimism. I think, I think most Port fans and even Port themselves are thinking that they're kind of peaking at the right time of the year.
I like it. I mean, outside of that, I mean, how do you think like the matchup specifically with Geelong sort of works? Do you think that, like, we've hit on this with Callum talking about Brisbane versus Carlton and how, like, if you almost go line by line by line, like, it's an amazing sort of setup of matchups. Against the Cats, like, where do you think the Power's advantages lie?
Midfield, just that midfield. That's where they can absolutely blow the game open. Like, the big thing's going to be for Port is how do they kind of can they stop Geelong's forward line? Because, I mean, you got Jeremy Cameron, I know Tom Hawkins probably isn't playing, but then you still got guys like Tyson Stengel, Brad Close, Brian Myers. That's going to be a hard job for their smaller defenders, but it's going to be in the midfield. If they can get, Butters, Horn-Francis, Rosie on top, like, that's going to be massive for them.
How do you slow down Brian Messi?
They might put a Lockie Jones on him, I reckon. Like, I could see someone like that, and if worst came to worst, but I think he'd be used at other parts, like a Ryan Burton. No, sorry, not Ryan Burton. Miles Bergman, who they love, just putting on like a real dangerous forward.
Yeah, I like Miles Bergman. He just takes so many intercept marks. I love watching him play.
Nice one, Alex.
Well, it's just stopping Jezza. How do you do it? Just stop him and you probably win the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Bergman, our boy Bergman, did it last year. Like, that pretty much stopped him, but I think that was maybe a bit of an outlier. That's going to be the hard one. Like, Port's defence is going really well at the moment, though, with playing Ali and Zert Thatcher as their two tools. So that might be an advantage for them, but I don't know. I actually don't know how you stop Jezza, to be honest.
You just hope that he gets bored and wants to go make a YouTube video somewhere because he hates Adelaide.
Yeah, no, that probably could be it. Yeah, I mean, he does. Yeah, or he wants to go play golf. Like, the golf course is nearby.
Jezza, just as the game starts, Jezza, remember how boring this place is? Like, there is nothing to do. Oh, yeah.
Just get somebody out there, the coins. Let's go, Jezza, how are your cows? And he's like, oh, my God, my cows.
He's rattled.
He's just shook. I like that. Just going to check out. The other thing I want to hit on is, like, what are the prospects of a Radigalia revenge game?
Oh,
like, I love a good revenge game.
It's not a revenge game. He left because he got offered a crap ton of money.
Yeah, he wasn't even making their team, and Port Adelaide, like, come here, we love you. We love you.
Here's a big bag of cash. He's like, oh, money.
Don't know about that.
I reckon unlikely. Like, I think he really liked what he's doing in terms of, like, the contest he's providing, but I mean, his kicking's been pretty poor when he has been taking marks. So that would be a shot. That would be one hell of a storyline if he does kick like 4.
I love it. Just Thursday night, Radigalia just takes the game by the scruff of the neck and off we go.
Like Mason Cox in a few years ago, that sort of vibe where he just dominated and then did nothing for the rest of his career.
How do Port fans feel about Danger?
Ooh. Jeez, that's an interesting one. Well, Danger left before I came to Adelaide, so I'm not entirely sure.
Because I'm like, I love, like, anytime, like, obviously being a former Crow, I feel like the Power should still boo him.
Yeah.
They probably do.
Because, like, the Crows fans boo him because he left, but the Power fans should boo him because he's Danger and he used to be on the Crows. Like, I feel like I just want to sow the seeds of discontent. That's what I'm doing over here.
You're just going to be Adelaide on Thursday. Boo! Boo that man! Boo that man!
I mean, maybe they could just, like, cheer him because he really hurt the Crows. And
that's a good point.
Yeah. Not bad.
Like awesome. Collingwood fans in Maynard.
It's not bad. All right, so, Simeon, give us the down low. I mean, what are you expecting from this game on Thursday night? Who's going to be your tip?
I'm tipping Port. I think it's going to be too strong at home. I think even though they're without Houston, Farrell, and Geelong have such a dangerous forward line, I reckon just Port's midfield's going to be too much for them, especially playing at home. To kick it off, like, I reckon 20-point win or so for them.
Nice one. So, I mean, they do have history in their favour, obviously, with those 2 qualifying final wins at Adelaide Oval. Do you think it's that home ground advantage, that Power sort of fan base just sort of stepping up, helping them get over? Because, like, if you think about this, if it was at the G or GMHBA, I feel like you'd still be going, well, Geelong, but at Port, like, it feels like it's just too much of an advantage, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I don't think this week is that, I mean, could be wrong. I don't think this week's got to be the problem for Port. I think it's going to be when they get to a prelim and then the scars are there, whether the scars are there from 2021.
No, I agree.
I do need to ask, what happens if there's a straight sets loss again?
I think I said before, Ken's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Checks out.
No longer Knuff.
He wasn't Knuff. There you go. Awesome. Thank you, Simeon, for jumping on Talking Power with us. Appreciate it heaps, mate.
No worries. Thanks for having me, guys.
Right, fresh off a plane from Paris, but not really. It's friend of the program, Big J journalist. It is the man with the greatest hair in Sydney, I reckon. It's Lachlan McKirdy. What's going on, McKirdy? How you doing?
It's good to be here, boys. September, it is finally here. The sun has been out in Sydney. We've had a couple of 28, 29 degree days already. It feels beautiful. And there's a bit of footy going on as well, that's for sure.
That's it. So we've got you on because we're covering off all the interstate teams with a couple of the code journos. And the cool thing is, with you, we get a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
That's why it's 2 for McKirdy. There you go. The Swans and the Giants. So you've been running around like the last few weeks, making sure you're on top of like training, on press conferences, all this sort of gear. What's the vibe, especially with these two teams playing each other? What's the vibe going into this week?
I think there's two general vibes that come across. There's one that I sense from a Swans perspective, if there was one team they maybe didn't want to play in finals, it's the Giants. Now that they've got them, they're happy to do that, to try and make it 3 in a row this year. But I think they were a bit nervy about drawing the Giants, and that has become a reality. And across town in Western Sydney, I think there's the sense of, yeah, we can do it. We can pull the upset. We've done the job over them in finals footy before, so why can't we do it again? There's a general sense of confidence that GWS can get the job done. So you've kind of got two teams at different points of their season, but both feeling confident kind of in their own right.
Nice one. Well, starting with the Swans, I mean, this is obviously Alex's purview as a Swans nuffy. But the last game, they rested McCartan and Heenman.
Yep.
And they've also got Papley and McInerney maybe in the, selection ideas. Like, what are we vibing on here? Like, what are we looking at? Do we think anyone's making way? Do we think Papley's coming back in? What do we reckon?
So, as we record, a couple of hours ago was at John Longmire's press conference, and the sense is that all 4 of those guys are firming to come back in.
Okay.
So Papley, McInerney both trained well today, Tuesday, which was their main training session of the week. And yeah, Papley's running really strongly, and obviously Juzzy, that's kind of always been his strength, his running ability. That they just want to see how they're pulling up from the contest stuff the day later now. So that they're ticking all the boxes they need to. They're progressing well in their kind of rehabilitation, if you want to put it that way. It's just making sure that, sure, McInerney is going to be able to run for days no matter what, but if you throw in a few tackles, how's he going to cope with that? So I think the sense I'm getting is that all 4 will be available for selection. And then when you look at the last team that took on Adelaide, I think there's 2 omissions that are probably obvious. Arian Francis for Tom McCartan's one that I'm sure the Swans fans will be happy to see just because of how good Tom McCartan's been. And then Isaac Heaney obviously comes back in. And probably unfortunately for Caden Cleary, who's been really fantastic the past month, but it's his first year on the list. His time will come. I think he'll accept that. And then I think it's between 3 guys for probably 2 omissions, and that's Robbie Fox, Taylor Adams and Braden Campbell. And if you're picking on form, Braden Campbell probably keeps his spot at the moment.
Wow. How are you feeling, Alex?
So I have it not Braden Campbell's the one being dropped. I have Jake Lloyd potentially been in that mix because since Callum Mills has gone to halfback and playing most of his time there, and with McInerney back on a wing, Lloyd's sort of that I don't know where I am guy because you know what kind of role Taylor Adams has where he's going to be in and under. Robbie Fox probably doesn't play, but you can play Braden Campbell as a sub. And it's just I think Jake Lloyd's that I'm that guy who's behind Mills and behind McInerney in the sort of depth list.
Well, I don't know. McKirdy, is Alex now the coach or not? What do you reckon?
It's an interesting one, like because McInerney, I think you're right, Al, that he spent a lot of time on wing, but because he has that versatility to play forward, to play back, to play on ball as well, I think they see him almost a bit of a very different style of role to Lloydie. So I don't know. I don't see Lloyd being dropped just because I don't remember the last time Jake Lloyd got dropped, essentially.
That's a good point.
It would be a massive call to make before finals. I see why you've got that on paper. I don't see Lloyd being the guy they drop. But, I mean, maybe you've got any horse's ear more than I do. You might be onto something.
This is like a Scooby-Doo sketch. We rip off Alex's face and it's Dean Cox. You're like, what the hell, man?
Hello,
He somehow gets taller.
Yeah, I would have gotten away with it as well if it wasn't for you, Jim. Away we go.
So, Al, are you coaching West Coast? That's the big question.
No, I definitely don't want that job. I'm happy to stay in Balmain where my wife apparently opened up a new restaurant.
Nice.
That was so specific.
That's very weird. GWS, though, like in terms of the changes for their team, like it's much more up in the air, right? right? Because they've got also more dudes coming back from injury. You've got like Ash coming back from the suspension, Isaac Cumming, McKirdy. They sat Bedford, Connor Stone, and Brent Daniels last game.
I heard Bedford's calf is a lot worse than what it actually is, and he could be in doubt for this week too.
There you go. What do you reckon, McKirdy?
I have also been hearing the same things. It was interesting. So we had Lachie Ash at his press conference today, which I'm sure the clips will start going around soon. Basically, got the black texter out and put a line through Toby. We then checked with the club, and the club's a little bit less committal. They still think there's a few tests that Toby can go through and push for selection. But from what I'm hearing, from what a lot of people are hearing, I think it'll be really tough for Toby Bedford to get up this week, which is massive for that midfield dynamic. I mean, he did a really good job, even though Chad Warner got a couple of goals in their matchup at NG Stadium. I thought he did a good job keeping him quiet, and he's done such a good job all year finding the main midfield weapon and shutting him down. But I think it's a delicate balance that the Giants know they've already got at least one more final after this week, regardless of the result. And if they want to win the flag, I think they have to do it with Toby Bedford in midfield. And so if you take that risk this week, and as we've seen with calves, not just in the AFL, across sport at the moment, if you go too early on it, it can be devastating. So I don't think they're going to risk him this week. That's the sense I get.
Nice one. Stats boy, you got some stats or any questions?
I was going to touch back on Sydney. I know Alex and I were talking about this before. Obviously, they're number one offense, but I feel like some of the big talls from Sydney still need to step up and kick some goals. Who do you think is going to be the leading goal kicker, sort of the talls from Sydney? Because I think they're a bit interchangeable and the smalls have been amazing, but I think a few of them need to step up.
It's interesting. Part of me almost wants to go the third guy of the trio because of what he did last year, Hayden McLean. He was so impressive in that elimination final against Carlton at the end of last year. He was clunking everything. He was getting forward, and obviously it depends what kind of role he plays. They might push him up the ground to almost be that Jesse Hogan type, taking marks on the wing to then launch attacks. But if he can get those hands sticky, especially like you look at the dangerous combinations there. Your Joel Amati, if he gets going, is obviously very good. So maybe you put a Sam Taylor straight to him. Logan McDonald, probably a little bit more dynamic around the ground, but also a big target. Maybe Jack Buckley goes to him. So if you think about the matchup that's left, it's probably someone like a Harry Himmelberg that maybe goes to Hayden McLean. And that opens up a little bit more of an avenue for, I think, Big Doxa to kind of have a bit of an impact.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah.
Himmelberg just used him with a massive stepladder.
Yeah, I was about to say, Himmelberg got hops.
Yeah, but sometimes he goes for the hops and the inset marks and doesn't concentrate on defending.
But you do look at McLean's sort of last 8 weeks in the season. He's averaged about 6 to 7 marks a game coming in. So he's got the sticky fingers, not kicking a hell of a lot of goals, but if he starts taking grabs down the line, because for some reason the Swans love this outlet kick down the line that never works, Hayden McLean needs to take some grabs.
Come on.
Okay, horse. They're good.
It got a chuckle from McKirdy. He knows exactly what I'm talking about.
It's relatable, yeah. I think both sides this weekend will see passages of that play. They love trying to find the corridor, but if they're not sure, they'll just stick their key tools on the wing and go on, take a mark and hope for the best.
So I think we've talked about, like, in all these chats for this show, like about the sort of line-by-line matchups. This one is fascinating. Like Sydney, Greater Western Sydney, like I think the back lines like are awesomely sort of just matched up against these forward lines. But it's the midfields for me that you just like, yes, feed this one to me. Like there's footies, homer on the donut machine. Just I want all of this game. I can't wait for it. Like, what do you think is the biggest matchup sort of in terms of groups out of this sort of game?
I tend to think the midfield too, but I almost think even though they don't technically match up on each other, like the opposing half back lines, you've got Lachie Whitfield, Lachie Ash doing some amazing things, obviously off halfback for the Giants. But then you've got All-Australian Nick Blakey. You've got Ollie Florent, who's had a sensational year. You've got Harry Cunningham, who I think has been really underrated this year and done a really good job running sort of out of back and launching some of those attacks. And probably Cal Mills plays there as well, launching hopefully some scores from the back line. So I think both of these teams play their best footy when they're able to get the ball from defensive 50 to inside 50 really quickly. And so if one team can kind of get on top of that dynamic, I think that's going to be the difference.
I think you're just leaning towards GWS because they've got more Lockies.
Yeah, maybe. Going for the Lockies. Yeah.
I would say not enough Lockies. There could always be more Lockies.
He demands more Lockies.
Yeah. He wants to play for GWS.
Dear GWS, you need more Lockies on your team. P.S. I'm not a crank.
I think this is a massive Brodie Grundy versus Briggsy game as well, because we've seen for the last 6 weeks, Briggsy's shoulders are just gone. And we saw at NG Stadium that Grundy, he had 30-odd hitouts and he had 35 against them at the start of the year. But hitouts and then working Briggsy into the ground because he can get forward clearances and deliver inside 50. If Grundy can work over Briggs, the Swans will just run away with this game.
Can you pose that as a question for McKirdy?
Well, yeah. Thoughts? Do you think thoughts?
How that what me said, says Alex.
I do tend to agree. It's going to be really interesting that now Brodie's finally had that week off that everyone was kind of calling for. And so, I mean, we saw on his socials, he spent some time down at the beach. He's really been able to put the feet up. So hopefully he is feeling nice and fresh. And I think the ruck battle is going to be interesting to see just how the Giants make the rotations. Obviously, I think Lockie Keefe's come in and done a really good job kind of since that Gabba game and been vital. But Jake Riccardi's close to being back. He's going to be wearing a glove by the sound of things, real Travis Cloak areas from the one that's finally been approved, I believe.
Yeah,
so
glove,
getting him, whether they get him back in and as that second ruck option, whether they keep Lockie Keefe is going to be really interesting because I think you've got to have that 1-2 combo with Brodie that as much as Briggsy can be that powerful, strong ruckman, that, as you said, Al, his shoulder, it's clearly hanging on by a thread in the sense that he'll need some sort of surgery on it at the end of this season. So, yeah, he can play through it. He's had the rest as well, but you back Brodie in if he's playing at his best.
Last one. Well, with all this in mind, I mean...
I like how we've talked about this and we haven't mentioned Isaac Heaney, Errol Goulden, Chad Warner.
Right, everyone knows what they're doing.
No, but Tom Green, Toby Green. We haven't mentioned the stars.
They're the stars.
They're all going to kill it.
It's a loaded game. Like we all know that. Like, and on our Thursday team show, like this is all what we'll be covering and all this sort of, we'll be digging into like all their player props and all this sort of gear.
Yep.
But I guess like how do you, from taking a bird's eye view, how do you think this game sort of plays out? Who are you tipping?
I'm leaning the Swans way just because of the body of work that they've done this year. And I think if Toby Bedford is out, that is actually a massive loss just for the pressure dynamic the Giants try and bring around the midfield. And if the Swans can kind of get that stoppage dominance early, that'll have a big impact. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Giants play their best game of the year and get the result. That's just the way Adam Kingsley has got this team to operate, that they love being the underdogs, that they love kind of proving people wrong. So I'm going the Swans by 4 goals just because I think at their best and at the SCG, home crowd advantage, all that sort of stuff, that their best footy is enough to kind of string those ring of goals together, whether it's 4 or 5 in a row, and really open up a bit of a margin. But if the Giants come out strong and get a lead early, then there'll be all sorts of pressure, especially like you think back to that 2018 elimination final at the SCG, where I think the Swans only scored 30 points on the day. It's one that most people put out of their memory, that people forget just how dominant the Giants were that day. But they've shown they can do it before, and it just wouldn't surprise me if it happens again with this team.
Well, the good thing is, like, the Swans aren't known for starting off slow this year, so it's going to be fine.
Exactly, yeah.
We kicked 7 goals against Adelaide. What are you talking about?
Against Adelaide, yeah.
Dead rubber.
Adelaide still kicked 5.
Exactly.
Last round of the season. I love that. That's awesome. All right. Well, McKirdy, we'll have you on anyway because obviously both these teams still have games in the future no matter the result of this weekend's one. So thank you for jumping on with us.
Anytime, boys. 3 more weeks of finals in Sydney. Bring it on.
Love it. Oh, I reckon do you reckon if we get a draw in this game, we get Kingsley and Horse out there, just a bit of Greco-Roman wrestling to figure it out?
Just in the centre circle?
Yeah.
I'd back Kingsley too much.
Yeah, I would
100%.
Oh, no, Horse
too frail.
Horse is country strong. It's just vibes there. All right, thanks, McKirdy. We'll catch ya.
Thanks, guys.
All right, as promised at the top, we finally bring on our man in Amsterdam, which is actually Brisbane. It's Callum Dick from Code Sports & Co. We're talking all things Brisbane Lions with Callum. Callum, what's the vibe up north at the moment around this Lions team?
Well, it's been hard to gauge the vibe from Amsterdam, gents, but from what I understand, well, the Broncos are out of finals contention now, so it's a one-team town.
Nice.
Well, I guess the Dolphins are still in contention in the NRL, but yeah, it's a one-team town as far as things go, so the Lions have got a great opportunity to get on a roll.
I like that. I mean, well, they do call Brisbane the Amsterdam of Queensland because of all the canals and weed. But anyway, on top of that, though,
Joe Danaher would fit in quite well.
Joe Danaher looks like he should be riding like a unicycle somewhere in Amsterdam, I'll tell you that much. But I mean, we've got the Lions versus the Blues this Saturday night, Callum. I mean, in terms of this Lions team, the way that the season finished, I mean, are you feeling like they sort of at least got their heads in the right space, sort of those last couple of rounds after the Collingwood defeat was just such a kick in the guts. Like, do you think that this is sort of like at least the springboard into like the second half of this final series, do you think?
There's so many different ways you can read the Lions entering September, I think. They won 9 in a row and they lost to the Giants and the Pies after both being 5 goals up in both, and then sort of limp over the line against the Bombers. So if we take a step back, they lost to Hawthorn before the mid-season bye. Everyone was, myself included, was writing the obituary, and then they came out and strung together 9 in a row. So maybe the week off is exactly what they needed to refresh. It's worked for them previously in the year. Again, it's nothing new, but the goal kicking has been an issue. They really should have won both the Giants and the Collingwood game. So exposed form says that they are one of the form teams in the competition, and if they are just able to kick straight, then they should give themselves a great chance. Now, that obviously, if they get through the Blues on Saturday night, they've got to go through Sydney and then, as in go to Sydney and then, elsewhere. They're not going to have the path through at the Gabba that they had last year. But I think on exposed form, if any team below the top 4 can do it, it is the Lions.
Come on, that.
The idea of Chris Fagan, Chris Fagan came out and was like, there's like the story with Jay Clark, right? About how he's like, geez, staring down the barrel sometimes, I'll tell you what. Say they were to actually lose to the Blues. Like, what do you think the future would hold then for the Lions?
Ooh.
It's a tough one. I mean, I think Fags said so himself too in that article with Jay Clark that, that he'll put his hand up when he thinks his time's up. His contract is to the end of next year. I spoke with Greg Swan a few weeks ago because Swanee brought up his 10 years at the Lions a few weeks ago. And the club is full of confidence in Fagan, what he's done. No club's won more games over the past 5 years than the Lions have. So it is a tough one. If you listen to David King and he raises some good points, is the Lions have such a great list that at some point it will feel like a missed opportunity if they don't win a premiership in this window. So, but premierships are also really hard to win as well. So
it's a tough one.
Just ask Ken Hinkley, just ask, everyone, Chris Scott until a few years ago. So, I think it's definitely a conversation. If they lose to the Blues, would be a pretty big upset, I dare say, this weekend, and it would certainly put the blowtorch on them. But I think, it would be more of a wait and see how they start next year as well, when they've got a Levi Ashcroft in the door and they've got a fully fit backline again before you really start sort of poking and prodding at Fagan's future.
I was going to say there is a very big load up and go again next year theory. Like, this is the flat year after. That's sort of what Geelong and Sydney both had last year.
Yep.
Collingwood have had it this year. In Brisbane, they've not snuck into the finals, but it's like, next year, bang. That's when they explode after everything that's gone wrong this year.
Get their players back and things like that, yeah.
Sure. I mean, there's
a bit of the difference though is that, so I think I wrote after the hammering they had against the Giants earlier in the season in Canberra that if the Lions were going to make the finals, they'd have to have the best form away from home that they'd ever had under Chris Fagan.
Yeah.
I think they've won 7 games away from home, which is more than they have ever won. Yeah. So again, even though their path through the finals right now after Saturday would be on the road, they're actually playing the best footy they ever have under Fagan on the road. So if there's ever a year for them to be able to do it, it is this year.
I mean, if they end up in Adelaide in a prelim final, they did pump Port by about 1,000 points when the obituaries were being burnt and everything.
For that game, for sure.
Same with the Sydney one, right? They've owned Sydney randomly last couple of years.
I think they've won 5 of the last 6, but they've only played once in Sydney like the last 4 years. It's weird.
Really?
Yeah.
But in terms of the matchups this weekend, right, I think of all of these finals, I think this is one of those just classic ones where you look at the Carlton list and some of the specific, like even just along the spine, right? Like you look at the Carlton backline where you've got Sard versus maybe Charlie Cameron. You've got Weeders versus Joey Ducats. You've got like Neil and Co in the middle versus like Cripps and Co.
Yep.
And then the Carlton forwards, like whoever gets named at this point, like with Charlie Harry versus Harris Andrews and that sort of stuff. Like, how do you sort of see some of these matchups actually sort of playing out? Do you think it favours Brisbane? Because I think across the board it does, especially with the way Carlton's form has been in the second half of the year. But from a Lions perspective, do you think they'd be confident?
Well, they'd definitely be confident for sure, particularly because, I mean, the Blues are going to have to bring in, they're going to get reinforcements, but the big conversation all this week is going to be how many can Voss afford to bring in and change the lineup, and do you run the risk of bringing in guys like Chera who or Jack Martin, who might have, the soft tissue injuries, might not be ready to go yet. So, but the big thing is that for the Lions, I mean, they have some similar injury issues. So Brandon Starcevic, who's been a mainstay down there, he'll have to, make a call on whether he's ready to come back in. And then Jack Payne played VFL on the weekend, didn't set the world on fire. They'd prefer him to be back in, but they also beat the Blues last year in a prelim without him as well. So I think if there's one area that's been, other than the goal kicking for Brisbane, that's been an issue, has been the back line for the Lions. And Curnow and McKay come in and the Blues have loaded up. And, I mean, we saw what they were able to do in opening round. So they're going to come in sort of with a nothing-to-lose attitude. And I think that's pretty dangerous for the Lions, given that there's also a lot of expectation on them as well.
Nice one. Stats, boy. You got any stats?
Not a stat, but I was just going to ask about the sort of most important player of the finals. I'm thinking leaning towards Cam Rayner. His back half was awesome. A lot of people are saying Joe Danaher. Do you think he's sort of the barometer of the team, or Cam Rayner, or any other player do you think is the most important for the finals for the Lions?
Yeah, I mean, you can go through the line. If Harris Andrews has a down day, they're going to lose. Pretty much plain and simple, right? Through the middle of the ground, I mean, Lachie Neale's their barometer, obviously. Hugh McCluggage was their best player in the finals last year, and I think he has another level to go to again. He's been trending upwards. He's been kicking more goals towards the back end of the year. So I think McCluggage is one to watch, particularly if teams are putting more focus on Neale, etc. And then forward, I think you're right. It's the Joe Danaher experience. He either kicks 1 goal 5 or 5 goals 1.
Yep.
The thing with Danaher, though, is that even if he's not hitting the scoreboard, he is one of the better key forwards around the ground. He can go into the ruck. He gets the ball. He's a very good field kick as well. So I think they want more out of Hipwood throughout the finals. Since he's come back in as well, he's been down. And then, obviously Cam Rayner, I mean, what he's able to do in the middle when he goes in and bursts. And then if he can get off the chain and kick 3 or 4 in a final, then they're absolutely beating anybody. So I think that's a fair shout.
I like that.
Full Joey Ducats. Let's go full Joey.
The full Joe Ducats experience. He's got 22 goals, 18 against the Blues in his career, which is the most Joe Danaher thing you could possibly ever imagine.
But he's had 60 shots.
I love it. That's awesome. Awesome. Well, I think my entire, I'm going to be there for this game, Callum. I'm taking my son. It feels like the Blues could very easily get their heads kicked in. What is your vibe from this? Do you have a tip? What do you think's going to happen?
Again, a little bit biased, obviously, because I'm up here. I do think the Lions will be the biggest favourite of any team over the weekend. I think that's probably fair to say. But again, I was sat there in opening round and watched the Blues come back from 46 points down. So at the same time, the Lions might be the most vulnerable team of the round also. And we know that the Blues fans, they travel in numbers. I mean, in the prelim last year, it sounded like a Carlton home game. And I know that you would have got the membership email, but the Blues are trying to rally it again to have a sea of navy blue in the stands in the Gabba. So it's probably not as easy a game as some might suggest for the Lions, but I do still think they should get the job done.
$1.28 with our friends at TopSport.
Yeah, they're 4 goals favourites, aren't they?
Yep.
4 goal favourites.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably fair.
Tough scenes. All right, there you go. That's Callum Dick. Thanks for jumping on with us, mate. This has been awesome. I'll be up there screaming out and go the Blue Baggers. And then by the second quarter, I'm probably we should probably go back to the hotel. I reckon, but either way. Thanks for jumping on with us, mate.
Thanks, guys. I'm off to Amsterdam.
All right, having successfully debuted his segment last week, it's time for everyone's favourite new segment here on the AFL Today Show. We road tested this last week, didn't we? The title of Top 5 with Wally.
Yeah, look, I think it's. I mean, it says what it is.
It says it on the tin.
So it does a
It's
job.
right there.
We'll wait and see how we go through finals. Maybe it changes.
So
We'll wait
what
and see.
do we got this week? What are we talking about? Because we've got the finals kicking off this week. It's going to be absolute chaos. I'm already psyched. I can't wait.
You're also nervous.
I'm just we spoke about this last week. Turtlenecking time. Just the next 4 days. Just turtlenecking.
I'm up and back to Sydney in a day. It's going to be
I
great.
might be doing the same to Brisbane. Oh, geez.
That's going to be tough with the night game.
I might just stay there with the squid.
I got 10:30 p.m. flight home.
Yeah,
It's going to
It's
suck.
good and I'll be right.
Yeah,
Go hang out
that
in
is-
Brizzy.
And there you go. We somehow lucked the MCG in an away game where every game's in the state. Brilliant. I resisted the urge to try and pretend to be an analyst and go, I'm going to give you the top 5 finals performances or, standout moments and, we can talk through Leo Barry again and the mark and
Tony
all that.
Lockett's point.
Yeah, all of that sort of stuff. And I've gone, you know what? Let's keep this really simple and let's talk to us as footy fans. The top 5 things about footy finals. Simple, really easy, really broad, and then you can make it whatever you want. All right, we start with this. September is a gateway to the greatest few months of the year, and it starts with footy finals. We kick things off with footy finals. It moves into spring racing, moves into summer. It's got anything and everything you want, and this is the way we get started. So a bit niche, I know, but I'll tell you right now, September's a gateway, and it all kicks off with the footy finals. Without it, it'd just be another month until spring racing starts.
So I love this because my brain is still like wrapping its around. Like I've been home now for 5 years. Right? I lived in the States for 6.
Yeah.
And it was the exact same. September was the greatest month of the year, but it was leading into winter.
Yeah.
Where like the weather sucks. But at the same time, all I know is I'm going to spend the next 4 months in a pub drinking beers, watching football. Like it was great. I'm like, I can't wait. I'm just going to put on my winter weight. I'm just going to come out looking like a polar bear. It's going to be sick. I'm just going to every Sunday. So where are we going? Where are we going? It's the best vibe in the world. And you're right, where this one, September here, it's just like, it only gets better.
Yeah.
It's like the optimism. It's in the air. It's amazing. I love that.
Everything feels a bit better. The days are a little bit longer. It's lighter earlier.
I had the weather written down.
Yeah, one of mine is the exact same thing. It's not freezing cold.
Yeah.
And the shadow at the G is like, it's the perfect amount of chaos.
Yeah.
I love the shadow at the G. If you're playing an afternoon game, it's like, oh, that's a bit it's done.
Yeah.
Laughing. How good's
Whereas
this?
if it's a twilight game and starts at 4:40, it's like, halftime, this is annoying. Oh, it's gone.
It's
Lights
now a
are
night
on.
game.
Let's
Nice.
go.
Love that. All right, next one.
All right, it's a second chance. If your team hasn't made it, everybody gets a second chance in finals. Look, let's be honest. Collingwood fans, in the words of Malcolm Blight, would not give a rat's toss bag about Hawthorn versus the Western Bulldogs on a Sunday afternoon in round 5. They just wouldn't care.
Yeah, true.
However, unless you're invested in it, of course, that's a whole different story. However, they will care because there's 4 games on and it's a big game and it's at the G and members of other clubs turn up, some in there. I'm not massive on that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with a scarf or a hat, but wearing like full jumpers and hoodies and T-shirts and all sorts of get up when your team's not playing at the G, I'm not massive on that. It's a side note.
So if Catman turned up to the Gabba next week, you're off it.
Catman's cooked in. He's gone in.
Yeah, he's gone.
I saw a video of him eating cat food
What?
at a point. So I think he's off the reservation.
I just assumed it was Gary Hocking.
Yeah.
The only acceptable way to do this, though, is like to rock up in one of those awesome NBA starter jackets that has every team's logo on it.
Yeah, I rate that.
The gather round kit.
AFL's got to do this. It's got to do the full gather round.
Yeah,
like,
the
bomber
gather
jacket.
round
Like,
kit.
let's go. Come on. That's the coolest one in the world. Because I would be going to like going to an NBA game and you're like, we had Brooklyn Nets season tickets, right?
Nice.
It's cheap. It's great. No one cares and you can always get in. And there'd be like just random old dudes and it's like, you've had that. Literally, the bomber jacket's got Western Conference logo.
Yeah.
Every other team's logo around there.
Yeah.
Eastern Conference logo. Every team's logo. And I'm like, I kind of wish I was like, a 48-year-old black dude and I could pull that off, but I can't.
Nah.
I just couldn't. But now I'm edging towards it.
Well,
let's do
absolutely.
it.
We're
I'm
getting
gonna
to
go
the
footy
age.
Fully. I love that.
And that's the thing. So it's second chance. Everyone, you can actually, and it's a fun way of supporting because you can get behind a team, but it's not the be-all and end-all.
Yeah.
You don't have the pressure of finals. As fun as it is when your team's in there, the pressure, especially towards the end of it, is a lot. But the second chance saloon goes really, really well.
So I've got the panic and stress written there. Like if your team's playing, you've got that stress. Whereas I remember watching the grand final last year going, this is just a great game of footy. If I was going for Brisbane or Collingwood, I would not have enjoyed any part of that.
All I'm doing is losing lots of money.
Yeah, all I'm doing is drinking.
It's fine.
I'm drinking beers. I've backed Dacos to kick the first goal.
Yeah.
I backed the Epsom winner. This is great.
Yeah.
It's like I'm going to completely middle this and come out just like $5 ahead on a horrible turnover. But it's going to be
Link
worth
McCarthy
it.
kicks a goal. Like, yeah.
Feels like a winner, though.
Yeah.
Feels like a
The
winner.
panic and stress, though, is one of the top 5 things, like, because you're so invested.
That's what I have written down, turtlenecking for an entire game.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, next is the players and the mix of champions rising and the cult heroes in the moments that we've seen. The likes of McLeod and Hodge and Black and Judd and Petracca and Pendlebury winning Norm Smith medals, but then also like iconic moments like Boyd from the goal square, Stewie Dew's 8 minutes, like Scarlett's topo, all of these things.
Mitch Morton did one thing one day.
Will Langford in 14. All of these people, like Mitch Morton played his best game ever in a grand final.
Yeah.
It's quite extraordinary. So all of these moments, Matt Spanger for the Hawks, everyone would have somebody in their teams that have won a flag that you go, how they get in there? But you're so glad they did. Yeah. And they're just there. They hit their need for them to fill a role, hit to peak at the right time.
Well, Tom Boyd did it the one day he needed to for that $1 million contract.
Exactly. So it's such a cool thing the way it's either heroes stepping up or these players out of the woodwork that we see. Bit harsh for me to say that Scarlett was a sort of a cult hero. I think he's a little bit better than the Topo is, but he's a bit better than that. All right.
Can I just say Brad Pearce as well for the Blues?
Oh, great shout.
1995 Carlton Premiership player Brad Pearce, all-time legend. I thought he was going to be the greatest player in the history of the game.
We actually do. Finals are coming through. Maybe we might have to have a chat deeper into the finals about some niche brown Norm Smith medalists as well at a point. So would it be too harsh to go, these are the 5 worst Norm Smith medalists? That'd be brutal, wouldn't it?
Or could we find like the 5 niche players that should have won one? Like Xavier Ellis should have won a Norm Smith medal.
Yeah, well, I've always said Clinton Young in 08 he got the injury, but he had one hand on the medal. At half, he had like 22 to half time, then got injured. Anyway, we're not going to go down a Hawks rabbit hole, I promise. I said I wouldn't do that.
Roberts Thompson had half a hand on a medal one day.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so it's the best footy. Number 2, it is the best footy as it should be there. Last year was incredible. You look at last year's final as a test case, all right? First week, 2 cracking games decided by a kick. Another really good game between GWS and St Kilda, which launched GWS's insane run. Don't worry about the other game. The next week, what we saw was another... like that Carlton-Melbourne game by 2 points, which was such a good win by the Blues, and then the Giants just steamrolling through Port Adelaide. And then we had Carlton getting out to a start and getting chased down in Brisbane, and then we had one of the great prelim finals between GWS and Collingwood that was somehow then topped by the grand final. Yeah. If you look at that and you go, how on earth, what did we do as a footy community to deserve that?
Well, we lived through COVID. We lived through COVID.
We lived through COVID, but we also had the 2022 grand final. Like, as a Swans fan, that
was horrible.
It was a good bounce back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we deserved it.
Yeah. I think any fan that wasn't a Geelong fan, it was like at least 2007 was like, oh, hang on, they're going to do something that's never been done. Yeah. And it got over 100, and there was this celebration. It broke this big drought. 2022 was just like, really?
I knew 10 minutes in the game.
Yeah, like, what are we doing here?
I'm going to sit in the sun. This is great.
Absolutely. So finals gives us the best footy. All right, and the last one, number 1, top 5 things about finals footy is simply grand final day. Grand final day, it doesn't matter if your team's there or not. If they're there, great. If you get a ticket, even better. And if you win, unless you lose, it's the greatest day on the calendar. If you get all 365 days, 66 on every 4 years, and you write them all down, I'm sorry, Christmas, I'm sorry to everyone's birthdays. Anniversaries, you name it. I'm sorry to the Melbourne Cup. I'm sorry to the Super Bowl. AFL Grand Final Day is the greatest day of the year. We find first goal scorer bets. We find a Norm Smith medal winner that's a little bit niche. Hey, I know he's 70 to 1, but he was built for this. All of that sort of chat.
This is Jim telling me how Matt Owies can win it.
Yeah, exactly right. We've all done it. We've all done it. The Swannies in 05, I remember. I had
Nick Fosdyke was on track for the medal at one point.
These are the ones. There was a little Eamon Buchanan.
Yeah.
There was a bit of mail around him and a massive price. I don't know how you get mail around Norm Smith medal winner, but there was from. The party starts from when you get up and you find your way into some brews really early. It goes deep into the night, and it's just the greatest day of the year. So for me, number 1 reason I love footy finals is the countdown to and then the actual day of grand final.
The day-long barbecue. Like, I was like, I better have something to eat before the bounce, and then I just keep cooking.
Yeah.
We're just going through it. It's fine.
You do.
It's still out. Like, the TV's on. Yeah. You're still like, turn down the heat on that. Should be right. It's all good.
So I've got, as an add-on to grand final day, I've got Up There Kazali on grand final day.
That's a good one.
So that's one
Great
for me.
Shout.
Like I went to the 2022 grand final. Yes, the result was bad, but being there for Up There Kazali with 100,000 people
When
singing
they roll
along to
out
it.
Mike Brady, away you go.
Yeah, out of the cryo chamber, out he comes, and we're just like, 1, 2, up there. And it's just like, this is great.
Robbie was good too, wasn't he?
Robbie was awesome. He was phenomenal.
I think the best I missed that live. The best I've seen, I saw the Killers live.
Yep.
When Richmond won their first one, and that was, as a massive fan of the band, that was huge. And then how is that when you actually go into the grand finals? They're rare, but when you get them when there is a big supporter base and some of the corporates have been kept out.
Oh, yeah.
And because usually it's about 80% corporate, but like a Richmond or a Collingwood, they just, I don't know how they do it. They just find a way to get more people in the ground.
Yeah.
Back entrance is 100% of the time.
We've seen that thing about Wembley on Netflix.
Yeah.
Underground tunnels.
What else you got for us?
Alex, you got
No,
some more?
I had
I
Up
got
There
heaps more,
Kazali. So just one for me, footy finals. Since I've been alive, the Swans are there nearly every year.
Yeah, it's very true.
So for me,
It's
just
true.
as a fan, I'm just like, September.
Yep.
This is great. The 2 years they missed were like COVID. Doesn't count.
Yep.
Don't care. I played finals every year. Like what? I think that John Longmire's missed twice, ever.
Nice. All right. Top 5 for me.
Yep.
Putting the whistle away.
Oh, so
yeah.
true.
You know what's really great? Putting the whistle away. You know what I don't need to see? Any umpire ever do anything in a game of footy. Just put the whistle away. No one's there to see you. Shut up. Get out of the road, idiots. What are you doing? Drinking in pubs when everybody's watching one game.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Everyone's focused.
It's second week of the finals. You're like, oh, let's go to the pub. Everybody's watching. You're like, this is a vibe. And it's like, this just takes me back to the States where it's like Sunday and off you go. There's like 87 different games all at once, but the vibe is the same. There's just this excitement. We're all focused. Boom. The roar at the bounce.
I have atmosphere. Yeah.
The
so the
atmosphere is
atmosphere
nice.
for finals goes up a notch.
Lines in the sand.
Oh,
Love a good line in the sand. But really, top 5 things about footy finals. Getting the chance to take your old man to his and yours first one ever. After he's had a quadruple bypass and a stroke. Didn't think I was going to be able to take him. Did. It was, and then he nearly died again.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's bloody
it's-
Sydney game. It's like, oh, he's gone. Oh, no, I don't think I can take him next week. Oh, jeez. And I didn't. But the thing was, it was great just having a good old-fashioned man cry up in the stands where you're just like, this is unreal.
Yeah.
I can't believe the Blues have won a final before Essendon. This is unreal. So we had a great moment. That was fantastic. The Blues snagging win last year against the Swans and then against the Demons. Absolute scenes, absolute vibes. And that was one of the, my favourite thing about footy finals right then and there.
I love
It's
it.
sentimental, but
Yeah, it is. But do you know what? Everything we've just said there, I think speaks to any footy fan and go, yeah, love that, love that,
Yeah.
love that, love that. The point being is it's just the greatest month of the year.
Yeah.
It is absolutely incredible. And it's probably not appreciated as much at home by my better half as it is by me and my friends. But when September 1 hits, the calendar goes up and we cross off every day and we talk about it and we plan. She does not care as much as I do about it.
I've done that going to the Swans game for the final, flying up and back. I said to my partner, I'm going to go to the Swans game. She's like, see ya. I'm like, didn't want to come.
No,
Nope,
no,
don't
no.
care. What if the Swans play? Don't care. I'm like, all right, see ya.
Yeah, I'm like, how many tickets should I get? And she, what are you asking me for? Asking mate. So you don't want to come? Because my wife came to a few games this year and she's starting to get into it. No. That sounds like a lot of people and a lot of noise. No, fair enough.
yeah, I like that. My old mate, she's just like, just take the little one. I'm like, done. Love it. All right, there you go. We've got a massive weekend of finals coming up. Thank you, Wally, for another cracking top 5. All right, how good were those chats with Callum, with Simeon, and of course with Lachlan McKirdy? But I'll tell you what took the cake was that top 5 with Wally. That was awesome.
I mean,
so
I
good.
want to go to Amsterdam with Callum and have a cake.
I want to go ride a unicycle with Joey Ducats.
That'd
I
be
love
good.
that idea.
Stats guy, you can go to Tahiti.
Sounds good. Sure. Yeah,
All right.
He's got the new girlfriend now, you know.
Of course, the AFL Today Show is brought to you by TopSport, the home of footy finals. Gentlemen, with that in mind, TopSport have an entire little section dedicated to finals futures.
Oh, we love that.
I absolutely love digging into finals futures. And I'll tell you what, we've got a Gary Ayres Award market out there at the moment, which is the best player of the finals series. Now, we've got, obviously, One thing we didn't mention in the news section at the start of this one was the idea of the Ron Barassi medal, which should be the premiership medal. That was I don't know what they're doing.
They're
But
just giving it to the captain.
it's just dumb. Just give everybody a Barassi. How many Barassis have you won? I won
6.
2 flags. So I've
Actually,
got 2 Barassis. Awesome. Anyway, the Gary Ayres Award, however, best player of the final series, fascinating market because you can kick the tires on right. Who is either going to play the most or who's going to have the most impact, right? And I land on Chad Chundley-Warner at
Really?
$15 because if you think about who has like a massive, massive impact when the Swans win, it's my beloved Chad Chundley-Warner. Why is that? Kicks goals. Why is that? Plays amazing in the midfield. He's awesome across the board, right? Like, and this is he's the sort of dude, spotlight on, he stands out. His impact is almost like wildly just visible. Like you see him in the guts, then breaking free, kicking a snag, $15. I love Chad Chundley-Warner because I think, you've got the Swans at the SCG for at least that first game and then probably for the prelim because they're clearly going to win through. And then in a grand final, like I just feel like he is the most outwardly impactful player that I can think of on the team that I think will go the furthest.
Okay.
And I think that's why I'm looking at this market. Stats boy, who do you like?
I'm going the Green Machine, Toby Green. I think $34 I think is way too high for a guy of his caliber. He's been one of the best players in the competition in my lifetime. He's kicked 3 goals and 15 plus disposals 5 times in his finals career. So I think if he has that sort of run in the finals, that's a lot of votes. If you're kicking 3 goals, 15 touches, you're going to have a lot of score involvements and things like that. People love voting on players that get a lot of score involvements. And 5 of the last 8 winners of this Gary Ayres Award have not won the grand final. Alex is trying to
There's been 8 years, but you also look at it that everyone bar 2 have played in the grand final.
I said won the grand final.
So they
Yes.
played in it.
So that's
but
why
they
I'm
haven't
saying
won.
I think
also
GWS
you-
can make it. I'm not sure if they can win it.
You need to add in the grand final gets 1.5 voting loading. So the perfect 10 becomes the perfect 15.
Correct.
like it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think Giants can make the grand final, and that'll help Toby Green. They'll have a lot of games. Even if they lose this one, it actually might help him win the Gary Ayres Award
Yeah.
for the votes.
Because I think that's the kind of thing.
You
right?
look for 3 to 4 games.
I
So
just can't
Sam
believe
Walsh
he's-
won it last year, 3 games.
I can't believe he's $34 for. He's just a super.
Well, he's had a down year. That's why.
Oh, he's still kicked 40 goals. I think he's gonna have a ripper finals.
What, 60 odd last year though? So it's like it's been a down year. It's the new dad thing that Jim had.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Don't
Yeah,
get me wrong.
yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
saying he's had a down year. That's why it's 30s.
Oh, fair enough.
I actually love that at $34.
I just can't believe it's
if
that
you talk
much,
about outward impact, like nobody has more outward impact than Toby Green. So
Yeah.
unless you're Chad Chundley-Warner,
Yeah.
which is my pick.
Ooh, okay.
Alex.
So I'm thinking along the same lines of Stats Guy with Luke Parker from the Swans at $51. His last couple of games, he's kicked 6 goals and had 40 disposals, so 20 and 3. If you're having 20 and 3, you're going to be in the votes for sure. He's so important to the Swans. You can throw him in the midfield for a crucial clearance. Like, oh yeah, remember that clearance that Parker, remember those goals he got? It's something that sticks in the mind. So I think just as an impact player, he can do that. And he's someone who's built for finals because you could just see him running back with the flight and taking a massive mark when it's counted. And everyone's like, oh, I remember that. And then on the other side of the coin,
Counterpoint, Luke Parker stinks, but that's whatever.
He's getting older, but he
That's
has
a bit
had
rough.
he has had a good end to the season.
yeah. And on the other side of it, Tom Green from GWS as well. Think he's another one like Toby Green, plays 3 to 4 games. Think if GWS are to win finals, he's going to be there in and around the football a lot, 30 odd disposals, bunch of clearances.
Interesting. I do like it with
$16.
with someone like from GWS, so Tom Green or Toby Green. We're just going the Greens.
Greens,
It's a great family.
Different spelling.
So last year as well, obviously Sam Walsh, right? So you make a prelim. He has a massive, massive final game as well in that prelim. So even if GWS do fall short, it does feel like they
Still
can
can get
probably
some
still
votes,
snag
yeah.
one, right?
Yeah,
Because if you've made it that far, if you've lost the qualifying final, you've still played 3 games, you've got enough votes under your belt. So
Yeah. And you look at it, midfielders, Walsh, Danger, McRae, Dusty, Steel Siderbomb, Dusty, Josh Kennedy.
nice. Chad Warner, still like that a
Yeah.
lot. Most disposals in the finals future market. So this is an interesting one as well because obviously you want to play maybe the 4 games. You're going to look at a team that
At least 3, I think.
At
Yeah.
least
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
At least 3 for the most disposals.
Yeah.
4 games to even make a grand final is always pretty hard. If you're losing a qualifying final, obviously your path gets that much tougher. So who's going to be playing in the grand final, basically? And mine is Whoa Errol. You know I love him because he's a real good one. Whoa Errol didn't have a massive, massive game against the Blues last year in the elimination final, but at home, What is he like doing at home, Alex?
Getting the footy and dominating the Giants. He's been best on ground with this Brett Kirk medal. The last 3 times he averages like 34 disposals.
So 41 touches against GWS the last time they played.
Not bad.
Earlier in the year.
And 29 and a goal the time before that.
The one before that, I think he had 2 goals and 30 odd. That's when he made that Brownlow charge.
32 and 2 goals last year as well. So I feel like he gets off to an absolute flyer against GWS. And then with the 3 games that I expect the Swans to play, boom, you can go massive and crank this one up at $7 for Whoa Errol Goulden. Love that a lot.
Nice.
I just love Errol, by the way. I don't know if you've heard this.
Yeah.
Stats boy.
Zach Butters, most disposals. I'm looking at the other side. I feel like we've concentrated a bit much on the Sydney GWS. When you look at the other side, Port, a lot of people think they're going to make the grand final.
Who are these people?
Not me, but yeah. A lot of people, Simeon probably will. Here we go. Zach Butters, $7.50. I think that's really good. He's averaging 33 disposals the last month. He had an awesome end to the year. He had 34 and 30 disposals his last 2 meetings with Geelong. I think he's going to have a ripper Thursday night, and that's going to charge him through the finals.
2 games at home.
2 games at home.
At least.
So I think he's going to get 30 plus in each of his finals games. That's just, he's their main player, so get around him.
Had 30 against the Swans as well.
Yep.
Like that. Alex.
Looking at Lachie Whitfield, averaged 30 disposals in the finals last year. He's averaged bang on 31 possessions a game this season. May not hit those heights because against the Swans this year, he's had, I think it's 44 touches in the 2 games, 19 and 25. Okay. So he'll get the tag this weekend, but it's like if they play the 4 games, he'll accumulate in the other games as well. So if he goes 20, 30, 30, 20, he's probably going to win it. Zach Butters for the same reasons the stats guy said, but also Tom Green, because if he wins the Gary Ayres medal, he's probably going to have the most possessions. And Whitfield's $9, Tom Green's $4.60.
Yeah, I actually
He's
don't
favourite,
mind. He is the favourite, $4.60, but I feel like there's a little bit better value.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking if I think that Tom Green's going to be the best player in the finals, he's probably going to have the most of the footy.
Bit of correlation, not bad. $16 for the Gary Ayres, $4.60 for most disposals.
Yeah.
It does sort of check out, right? If you think they're going to play at least 3, then it's sort of bump.
Yeah.
Maybe if they play 4, you can run away with it. I actually like that a lot. That was most disposals. How about most goals in this finals futures? This is fascinating. I mean, the easy one for me, I just looked and went, it's probably Jesse Hogan. He just won the Coleman, sure. He's $4.80 and he is obviously the favourite for this. Why is that, Jim? Well, he won the Coleman. He kicked the most goals in the league this year.
His last 6 weeks have been insane.
That's fair enough.
They've got the double chance, so you know he's going to get at least 2 games against the Swans, and then whoever if they win, they're in a prelim. They lose, they play the winner of Brisbane Carlton. So I just feel like there's so much scope for him to just go bang, bang, at least to get off to a flyer in those first 2 games, whether it be qualifying final prelim, qualifying final semi-final. If they're in a semi-final, I trust them against both Brisbane, who they've beaten twice already this year, and against the Blues, who they've gone 1-1 this year. The other one that I liked that was a bit sneaky, talk about double chances. Jezza Cameron, not bad.
Yeah, he's
$8.
been in great form,
He's only kicked 1 goal against Port Adelaide earlier this year.
That's the worry. That's why I didn't pick him. Yeah.
It's a tricky one. But he does love squishing the ball, and he kicked, 90 against the Eagles. The other one is if you believe in the Blues. Let's do it. Win the flag, Charlie Cato! $26, let's go! Woo!
How was his final series last year?
Doesn't matter. That was last year. That was last year.
And he's
I'm not betting on last year, am I?
It's form. It's correlation.
He's coming off an injury as
That's
well.
not correlation. That's last year. There's no correlation whatsoever. $26 for Charlie Curnow.
Jim's just like $20.
What about all those other stats?
He's going to go smash at the Gabba and away we go. Nah, Jesse Hogan, I think the double chance just set you on such a good path at $4.80. I feel like he could go 4-4, and then even anybody else is sort of like going for that. If he makes that 3rd game, he's running away with this.
Yep.
Stats boy?
Toby Green, $7. I'm just doubling down on Toby Green.
Stats guy's just, again, not doing much with Toby Green.
No, I looked into this. I think if they're going to win games, Toby Green wins them off his own brute sometimes. I'm going to double down on him. I think a lot of the finals teams have lots of big, tall key defenders that are really good, but a lot of guys that like to run off. That's the modern footy and things like that. I don't think a lot of the finals teams have guys that can cover Toby Green as well as the big defenders. So I'm going Toby Green. I think he's going to average 2.5, 3 goals. So I think they'll be right up there for most goals.
Not bad. Alex.
So I'm looking at this a bit differently. So I was trying to look at a player who I think can kick 10 goals. I'm just going 3 games, 10 goals. Tom Papley's one that can definitely do that back from an injury. When he's up and about, the Swans are flying. He can very easily kick 3, 4, 5. And then I'm looking at the Western Bulldogs Hawthorn game. So I think whoever wins out of that will then win their next final.
Ooh.
I think they'll beat Port or Geelong the next week. So with that, a man built for the biggest stage.
Wow.
The Wizard.
Oh my God.
What?
The Wizard.
I thought you were at least going to say Ginnivan, but like he's at $41.
The Wizard's $51.
Not bad.
He's getting a lot of looks, and you know what?
has a lot of shots.
All those misses are going to revert to the mean, and the Wiz will kick straight. $51.
No way.
But also, Sam Darcy, $34. So if the Dogs play 3 finals,
don't mind that one.
A lot more.
He's a guy who could very easily kick 15 goals in 3 games.
Yep.
So Mitch Georgiades for Port as well. Like if you believe in Port, I don't mind his look at 750, which is like
He's
third
been
favorite.
their most consistent. Yeah.
Because especially at Adelaide Oval, right? Like he has had some games there this year where he's just gone whoppang. He's kicked 5 against the Dogs this year. He's kicked 4 against Sydney in that absolute smashing kick, 4 against the Blues as well. So he's got
Finals
form against
teams, yeah.
finalists.
Yeah.
And he's just, it feels like he's just really hard to slow down at the best of times. And if he gets absolutely up and about and firing, he played the last game against Freo. Happy days there. He only kicked the 2 goals, but at the same time, that's a little bit of like he came back, he had a run.
Yeah.
Awesome. Off we go. Don't mind Mitch
I think
Georgiades.
the most goals a player's kicked in the finals in the last decade in a game is 6, and there's been like 5 players to do so. So
Harry McFive. Harry McFive! Oh, no, we're not going to stick with the Blues. Is that what you're telling me?
Nope.
All right, there you go. So there's some awesome finals futures for you. Gary Ayres, most disposals, most goals, and we will have some more best bets in tomorrow's, including some awesome same-game multis.
Ooh.
That's going to be pretty
We need to
fun for
agree
those
on that.
finals game. One for each of those games that we all have to agree on.
Oh, good luck with that.
We have to agree on.
Maybe we could just pick a couple of legs each, and then we don't have to agree
We'll
on
combine
it.
them. It'll be fun. Awesome. There you go. That is it for the AFL Today Show for today. We'll be back tomorrow with the AFL Today Show for the Thursday Teams Show, which is going to be massive because the Blues are going to like name 22 new players. It's going to be absolutely sick, and a bunch of other fun stuff as well as we find out what the teams are going to be for week 1 of the finals. Either way, thank you for the ding guy for jumping on, Alex Donnelly over there.
cheers, Jim.
And to the stats boy.
Thank you.
Brought up some stats too. That was nice
Always.
for a change. Remember to smash a like across all the socials to see us doing lots of fun stuff. And across the board, make sure you're liking, subscribing, starring, commenting on our YouTube, on our Facey, on our all your podcast apps, all the good stuff there, Instagram, TikTok, X, all that stuff. But also get around the AFLW Today Show, the Cricket Today podcast, Football Today podcast, NBA Australia, NFL Australia, which is back this week. Hold all tickets as well. He's smashing his microphone, good stuff there. And I'll tell you what, get around him like, I don't know, Harry McFive's going to get around kicking a bag of 5 this weekend at the Gabba. You reckon the squid will be off his chops at that point? He'll be full of a hot dog.
I think you will be.
Can confirm the hot chips at the Gabba are quite good.
Oh,
there we
better
go.
than Windy Hill.
Way better.
Nice one. All right, we'll catch you tomorrow for more AFL Today. We're going to have a massive, massive Thursday team show and a live stream of that first game of the finals as well tomorrow night. It's going to be absolutely sick. It's going to be insane. Cannot wait. All right, until then, look after yourselves and remember, the finals are back.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.